specific feedback is what I was talking about. And I liked it because I thought it built right off of the success criteria that Roby was talking about. So what we did is we would break down the problems into specific skills that are needed and required to be successful, and that's the success criteria that he was talking about. Then we would use that success criteria, as we talked about, a series of steps or a blueprint to solve. We would find what is the step that's confusing the students. Okay, so here is an example that I and my fine teacher, Mrs. Tyler, co-teacher, did in class. We were working on a problem, solving two-step equations, and we actually wrote the success criteria out. It gets a little hard to read on the big screen in the middle, but we wrote each step as a separate color. And then we solved the problem, and we asked the students to go through and see where they made their mistake if they didn't get it right. And then we had them just raise hands. How many people made a problem with distributing? How many people had an error with combining like terms? Were you solving for the variable? Is that where your problem? Were you combining things from, or moving things from one side of the equal to the other? Where was the issue? And we found out that most of them were having a problem in the exact same area. There were a few scatters, but mostly it was targeted at one specific skill level. So we identified that weakness, and we started practicing that skill in isolation. And so we had a student at the board working on several problems, another student working at his desk, isolating that specific skill. We didn't need to practice every single step because 5 out of 6 things they were doing pretty well at. It was just that one problem. At the end, we did the same thing, and it's real hard to see in here, but we kept the original numbers up, and then we took a poll the second time. Did you make a mistake distributing? No one raised their hand. Did you make a mistake combining like terms? No one raised their hand. And as we went through, actually every student got it right. So it was nice. I think that extra time and attention, not only did it solve that area where most of the students were having their problem, ended up some of the little stuff, the kids just by being more aware of it, they weren't making mistakes in the other areas as well. So benefits of specific feedback, students felt supported and safe, so that increased participation happened. This young lady here is one of our big success stories. She is a chronic failure in mathematics. She has been a DF student since she started math. She told us, she almost reduced me to tears, and that's not easy because I'm kind of a big sissy, but she told us that the reason she was so successful this year is because the environment in the classroom, we were just one big old math family. And you were free to fail or to be successful, and you weren't going to be judged for it either way. So I have this picture, and I don't know if you can see, there is one student in that entire classroom that's not raising their hand to answer it, and that's not a staged photograph. I was teaching while Margot was taking the camera. And ironically, the one who doesn't have her hand raised is the one who always has her hand raised and is probably the brightest kid in there. So that was just her kind of zoning out for a minute. But as a teacher, when I see a room where every kid is raising their hand and that's just the norm, that's a pretty incredible thing. Sammy, we're not going to be able to watch her video either, but she was talking about how effective the specific feedback was because it did allow her just that, to go ahead and specifically target exactly what her weakness